So I knew, and I told my family what it was, and they were like, no chance, it's not that, you're worrying, you're over-exaggerating. I was like, I know exactly what it is, trust me. I told our dad, I sat down with him, I said, look, it's that, I know it is that. We shed a lot of tears, but he said, look, I trust your judgment, and if you say it's that, it's that. And we left it there. And then July the 5th, we went down and I got the diagnosis, which I knew was coming. I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Steph did, I did. But nothing prepares you for that.
Get those what we trap for. Some man they wanna chat shit till I knock 'em ain't like I'm Jack Shaw. Rolls hat, roll stack, my flow sharp like a hacksaw. Getting off.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Tanked Up podcast. Today we got a very special guest. Again, a little bit different from our usual fighting talk. Today's guest has been diagnosed with motor neuron disease. For those of you who don't know, that affects your brain, speech, and muscle function. But what's most inspiring about Mark is that he's using his will to inspire the local community and standing up and defying the disease. Hence his slogan and mindset of motor neuron defiant. Our guest today, the one and only Mark Williams. Thanks for joining us, Mark.
Cheers.
Yeah, thank you very much, mate. Thanks
First
for
of all,
coming
how's things?
Yeah, good. It's been a sort of difficult few months, obviously, but
Yeah.
we're sort of getting to the stage now where we're coming to terms with it, and it's sort of, but the hard work's been done now, you know, the tears, the being down and being depressed and trying to get head around it, and now it's just trying to get on with life and sort of fight it, and like I said, trying to inspire others on my journey, taking it sort of day by day. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think you're definitely doing that, because just when you see like the people posting about it, the people getting involved with you, you obviously like inspire the community around you, and like it's produced a bit of a shockwave. And to be honest with you, I've never really heard much about the disease or whatever before this story. I don't know about you, Jack. But
Yeah, we was just chatting on the way in now. The only reason I heard of it before is one of my dad's friends, his father, unfortunately, passed of it. We're talking 10, 15 years ago. My old man did like a charity fight. But that's the only reason I'm familiar with it. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think it's, you know, it's not something that you hear about every day.
No.
And, you know, to have someone so sort of close who we know from Ap Leary, I think it's kind of shocked the entire community. And like you said, Joe, and almost inspired and brought the community together as well. What we wanted, just before we get into it too much, obviously we see on your Instagram and now, Mark, you're training flat out now. I know you from before. I know you as a rugby player as well. So I know Joe wanted to know as well, is that something you've kind of done all your life? Always been used to being active and on your feet and busy, I suppose.
Yeah, I've always sort of kept myself busy, played rugby, done a bit of MMA, bit of jiu-jitsu, Thai boxing, bit of all sorts really. But it sort of stood me in good stead for this because it takes away your muscle, and I think if you've got a bit of mass and a bit of strength, when it happens, it takes a lot longer for it to grip hold and to take you. It sort of attacks your muscle groups and it sort of weighs you down. But like the doctor said, there's quite a bit of mass to take, which all the pizzas and all the cookies stuff being good stead, you know. It was all for a reason.
Yeah, it's all paying off now. Like,
But yeah, I've always been active. I trained sort of with a few boys from the gym years ago. Celtic Pride for years, Thai box for 8-9 years, really. When I was up at the log cabin, just over the road from you.
Oh yeah, over in Rasa was
yeah,
it? Yeah,
yeah.
they did that, I think. Didn't they?
But yeah, always been sort of active, kept myself reasonably fit and well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So when you come into like, well, say before you found out what it was, did you have any like telltale signs much before that leading into it?
Was there any kind of like, I suppose, not inkling because you would never expect it, but was there any sort of signs, I don't know, years ago, months ago, before officially knowing, or was it kind of just one day you woke up, didn't feel right, and then before you knew it, you had this diagnosis?
So like Christmas time, I started noticing my speech slurring a little bit, like ever so slight, and I had it down to stress. I thought it was stress. I thought I was doing too much. Work, because I work in like social care, so I thought the job itself is quite stressful. It takes a lot out of you. I thought it's time for a change because it's doing this to me. Whereas I didn't know at the time it was this. I went to Snowdon in February, and we did Snowdon with this. And
That's crazy, isn't it?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told that to the doctor, and he was like, "Write that down." Actually, he said, "Do you feel like you've gone downhill?" I said, "No, uphill."
Gone up.
And yeah, I was asking at a restaurant for food, and I couldn't get it out. I was that tired. I was like, I was asking for like, I think, steak and chips or whatever. But I was like slurring, and I thought, God, I thought I might have had like a stroke or something like that. But those were the sort of telltale signs. The speech twitching. I have like twitching all around my body, round the clock. My tongue, under my tongue, it does that. It like vibrates. You got like muscle cramps, muscle pains, headaches, and they all sort of rolled into this sort of diagnosis. But it takes a long time for them to narrow it down because they want to sort of cancel out everything else first because it's a big diagnosis.
Yeah, definitely.
Did so obviously, like you said, you went to the doctors, and obviously after you noticed the slurring, there was, as you just said, they had to cancel a lot of things out first. A bit of a deep question here, I suppose. But when was it that you got the official diagnosis from the doctor? And talk about how you kind of, I suppose there's no other way to say it, how you kind of felt during that, in the moment there and then, or was you aware of what it was, what you was dealing with, or was it kind of like, because it's not quite so common. It's not such, a common disease you hear about every day. Was it kind of like, well, what's that? So I suppose, when did you first find out, and what was your initial thoughts, feelings? Obviously, you got a family, a wife, 2 young kids as well.
So, I knew, and I told my family what it was, and they were like, no chance, it's not that, you're worrying, you're over-exaggerating. I was like, I know exactly what it is, trust me. I told our dad, I sat down with him, I said, look, it's that, I know it is that. We shed a lot of tears, but he said, look, I trust your judgment, and if you say it's that, it's that. And we left it there. And then July the 5th, we went down, and I got the diagnosis, which I knew was coming. I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Steph did, I did. But nothing prepares you for that.
Well, no.
Confirmation, like when it actually hits. Yeah.
Because there's always that, I suppose there's always that little bit of hope in the back of your head that maybe it is something else. Do you know?
And I had it's funny now, but I had a list of what I thought it could be. And I was like, the doctor, I mean, I've done 16 years now working with people for a living, so I know the sort of judge a reaction, a sort of facial expression, and his face. When I went in, I knew, he knew, without even telling one another. So he sat down and I said, well, it could be this, that. And this guy's a professor. He was like, yeah, I know what it could be. I said, but it's not, is it? He said, no. So he told me then what it was. I took it well, to be honest. I didn't sort of break down. I said, look, he said his words were, you knew this. Didn't you? I said, yeah. And Steph sort of broke down. But I was okay. I sort of had, in my mind, I knew what it was. So it wasn't a shock. But the actual hearing those words were a shock. Yeah, he said, he was amazing actually, this doctor. And he said, it's up to you now to prove me wrong, as in my diagnosis, not the diagnosis, but the outlook. Because they give me 18 months to 3 years. And I'm going beyond that. I know that. It's, but, he pat me on the back and he said, I want you to go out there now and prove me wrong, prove them wrong.
Yeah.
And it's not often you get a doctor like that.
Yeah, inspiring then, isn't it? Even though, like, you've just got the worst news, to have someone there who's kind of, he's got a better idea than anyone else of what you're going to go through and to tell you to go out there and fight it. I think that's amazing, because you hear so many of these stories, don't you, where people get, like, 12 months to live, but they do, like, 10 years purely down to their will. And yeah, I bet that was hard to even have that mindset in that moment.
That was Spires, Cardiff, and the guy was unreal. We went private because the waiting list for the NHS was insane. And I got seen, diagnosed, at all the tests, blood tests. I had to have different I had to have needles put in my body and electric shocks put through me to see my sort of muscle reaction.
Like the twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called EMG, I think.
Okay.
And that in itself is horrific.
Yeah.
That is bad. But it was all done and dusted by the time I even had my first appointment with
the NHS.
And the NHS sort of rang and said, oh, good news, we got you an appointment. I was like, well, it's all done.
It's crazy,
totally
isn't it?
done.
That's mad in a way, and then not to slate the NHS at all, because what they do is great. But if you look at it on a grander scale, it's kind of like, I don't know, say it took 6 months for you to get the NHS diagnosed you with it. Let's say you hadn't adapted the lifestyle you're doing at the minute, the exercise, the diet, the stuff like that. You waited 6 months to get that. Who knows what kind of condition you could be in before you even know you got it. So, it's so fortunate in a way that, that you did go private and kind of just not get your head around it, but get it in writing early on so you knew how to attack it.
I think, sorry, go on.
It's not the NHS itself. Well, it is, but it's the strain they're under.
100%, yeah.
It's not their fault. It's not that sort of nurse that ain't got time. It's the whole system.
Yeah.
It's broken. The whole system is broke, and it needs looking at.
Needs a complete revamp, really, doesn't it? When you see
100%.
people waiting in an ambulance for 9 hours outside, like this.
Yeah. Well, my old man was down the Grange a couple of months ago for something to do with his knee, and there's a guy I've come into A&E, and he's kind of like, he said the doctor thinks I've had a stroke. They've told me to come straight to A&E, and I think they had him wait like 9 hours.
Mental,
and that's a stroke, and and they do work in priority of seriousness. So if someone who's had a potential stroke is waiting 9 hours, it just shows the
I went
amount of
in with
stress
this.
they're under.
I went into A&E with this, not knowing, and I said, I think I've had a stroke. So that's weird. And they said, well, sit down there and sort of wait. I was like, yeah, but I think I've had a stroke. I'm slurring, I'm dizzy. They said, oh, okay, take your details, someone will be with you. 6 hours.
6 hours.
Later,
Yeah.
someone said, oh, come on in.
That's incredible.
I was
It
like,
shows how bad it's getting, though, doesn't
Yeah.
it? And like, I think if you can like afford it financially, getting private healthcare is definitely something for everyone, isn't it? Because that's the way it seems to be going, doesn't it? If you
I was covered through my mother's insurance,
Right.
so I didn't even have to pay. It was covered. She didn't realise that my name was on the policy. So I was like, oh, thank God.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Go on.
When this doctor gave you that news then and told you to basically go out and put your all into living the lifestyle the way you are now, like at what point did that sink in for you? Like, was it like a couple of weeks later, or did you have like a bit of a depressive time
Yeah.
after that before?
And just to jump in, or was their kind of initial advice different to what you went and done straight away, or was it kind of like you said, that doctor was very positive and like, it's up to you to prove me wrong, and then you kind of took it on your own back to do these things?
I saw another doctor that wasn't so positive. Maybe it was down a sort of bad day, maybe it was whatever, but it was sort of very negative, and he told me my limitations, what I wouldn't be able to do. I said I'd done Snowden. He said, well, that'll have to stop. He said, you won't be able to do that kind of thing anymore. Within a month, I done Penny Van, and sort of I got the photos ready for
Ready
my
to go and
next
show him.
appointment. Not in a sort of cocky, arrogant way, but just to say, look, be very careful what you tell people, and be very careful how you limit them.
Yeah.
Because there's no limit to
No.
this. There's no limit to like an individual and how far they will go. It's all mindset. And when I looked at Penny Van, I thought, I'm doing that, and if it's on my hands and knees, I had to come back down backwards because my legs were in that much. So I did it up, sort of forward, and down backwards with a stick. And people were passing me, and they were like, you all right? I was like, yeah, don't mind me. Just doing it totally backwards, like. But yeah, you sort of, in my mind, I thought, that is what I'm doing. And his sort of words were echoing in the back of my mind. So I thought, well, I'll sort of show you.
Yeah, use it as motivation. Yeah.
There's nothing more powerful than someone telling you can't do something in there if you definitely know you're going to do it. And mate, I take my hat off you, because a lot of people would, maybe I would, I don't know. If I took that news, I don't know how I would take it. I maybe just go into like, and I'm sure you do have dark times.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, like, we was talking in the car on the way over, so I think as positive and as determined as Mark is, it's only right we touch on the dark days as well, because as you were saying on the way over in the car, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. You have good days, you've had bad days, you've had periods of time where, like you said, you sat in the house, can't get out of bed, depressed, anxiety, crying. So, yeah, I mean, touch on the two sides of the scale, I suppose, because I'm sure you're having days where you're down here and days where you're up here.
Yeah, the first 2 weeks were horrific. I was sort of on a mattress on the floor in their living room. I couldn't speak to anybody. I didn't want to face life. I had some very dark thoughts, as you can imagine. I thought, I want out. I don't want in with this shit. I thought, I want out. I'm done. I'm cooked. That's me. I can't face this. And then something sort of kicks in. It does. And I used to look at people with terminal illnesses and doing charity work. And I used to think, how? How are you doing that? How have you got that mindset? And it's in us all. It is. It's there. But you got to unlock it. And it takes, a while. And it takes a lot of looking at yourself in the mirror and a lot of reflection and a lot of determination. Yeah, after 2 weeks of the mattress, the floor, the crying, I got lifted up by friends, family, community, Stingy,
Yeah.
Lee Stinville, Thai boxing instructor, was mine for years. He was there by my side, amongst others amongst a lot of others, but I'd wake up on that mattress and he'd be there.
Ready, yeah.
Stood there. Let's go.
Yeah, that's massive, isn't it, having that support.
Well, and it's the old saying is, at the end of every dark night, there's a bright day coming. So you sometimes, I suppose, you can't get to those good times and those bright days unless you go through a bit of dark times. And having had that diagnosis at your age with your family and stuff like that, I can imagine, fucking hell, like you said, I can't even fathom what I would be thinking. So the fact that you've spun it 360 to turn it into a positive is unbelievable. When you started, obviously, having this positive mindset with the exercise, the diet, was that something you kind of like researched on your own or just took it upon yourself? Or was it, I don't know, doctor's advice, friends' advice?
The doctor's advice was, it doesn't matter what you eat. Eat cake, sugar, whatever you want, just bang the calories in.
Yeah.
I was like, I sort of get it about calories, but I don't get sort of what you're saying. And I researched and spoke to people that had done well with this, and that's at a shite, obviously. But the first sort of few weeks I was caning, sugar, sort of everything I can eat, pizzas, thinking I'm going to bang weight on. Because the rule book sort of says you can't put on weight. You'll sort of go like that straight away. So I went overboard and I put on like a stone and a half.
Started bulking.
Yeah, a bit too much. So now I'm sort of getting it back off. But they say you can't build muscle either. And I've been sort of measuring my legs and arms and all the rest. And I've put on an inch all around. So
that's mad, nah.
Proving them wrong, man, isn't it?
Proving them wrong. And again,
powerful.
like, it all comes down to mindset in a way, because if you took on a negative approach, like you say, you wouldn't be putting it on, you wouldn't be training. And yeah, it's really inspiring. We was talking again, like, so you're training like every single day pretty much. And
yeah.
What does your daily routine look like, innit?
So I try to get up. I try to start the day in a positive way. It sounds sort of corny and thing, but I lay there first in bed and try to think positive thoughts, and I sort of set my target for the day, set my ambition, my target, what I'm going to do today, and that sort of lifts me. I get up, have a good breakfast. It takes a while to get my muscles going. I stretch. I got a massager which I use before I start my day. I have a good breakfast. Then I sort of look to train, do something positive, weightlifting, swimming, like bike, rower, something every day. I have the old rest day. I use that as my downtime to sort of recharge, then I'm going again.
yeah,
But it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
You're constantly fatigued, constant, round the clock. So even sitting here talking is hard, you know.
Yeah, I bet.
The side people don't see.
Yeah, they just see the pictures in the gym
Yeah,
and the videos in the gym and think, you know, fake. But like you said, you don't see the fact that you are constantly tired. Like you said, even sat here having a conversation is wearing. Do you find what I suppose what's the best kind of thing you do to recharge? So if you are feeling a little bit fatigued, and maybe you're not done with your day, or you're thinking, right, I want to go again tomorrow. Is it kind of just like rest and recover, or is it more so mental?
I would say I spent time on my own.
Yeah.
Totally detox from conversations by phone. I lay there in the attic room. Maybe headphones on, music, lie there and just chill, you know. Recharge, get that mindset right. It takes work every day. You know, your voice is going, give in, give up, you know, chill out, sit down. But you gotta fight it all day, every day. It's gotta be like, oh no, up we get, on we go.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can learn a lot from that. Just like
Fuck, it's so
me
inspiring.
myself,
Yeah, like
sat here listening to you, like
you know,
you know.
I wake up some days and think, let's go back to bed for an hour, or you know, or fucking I think, well, I'll just do one session tonight instead of two, and then you hear that, and you're kind of like, fucking, there is no excuse.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's so much people can take from that if you can get your mind right, then anything really is
The rest will
possible.
follow, yeah. I mean, it takes 15 minutes to straighten my legs in the morning. Just straighten my legs.
Just to straighten it, and you're still managing to do that, and then go and train, or then go out on the bike, and then there's no excuse for any of us, is there? I mean,
Not at all.
when you hear that,
But that was me, Jack, you know. I mean, that was me. I was lazy, unmotivated, weak, and this has brought out something in me that I didn't know was there.
yeah,
It's that I should have been a fight.
Yeah.
This. You know, if I can do it, anyone can. You know, truly think that.
I think we've all got it in us, but you only ever see it in glimpses, don't you? Like every now and again, you'll do something and you think, I've done more than I ever thought I could there. But you never necessarily carry on. I'm sure you see it like with your training camps and that. But
100%.
like a lot of people live their day-to-day lives.
And what better way to bring it out in you? Like you said, is if I don't do it and I don't get my mind right and I don't bring that inner strength out,
Yeah.
then, you know, you could quite easily sit there in bed all day and feel sorry for yourself. You'd be well within your rights to do that.
Yeah.
But
when the consequences are the highest,
that's
when you prove what you're made of, really, doesn't it? And I've got total respect for you, mate.
Cheers, Joe.
Honestly, yeah.
I can see how people do, though. And I don't judge.
No.
You know, if someone's going to take this and lie in bed and not do anything, you know, that's up to them. I can see how it will have that effect and take you. You know, it will. But I think if you want the best out of life and you want to extend your time, you've got to fight it, you know.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, it's not going to be given to you. You've got to get up and kind of go. And it's the same with anything. This is like an extreme case, but it's the same. I think if you want to achieve or do anything in life, you've got to kind of find that voice in your head that says, well, go and get it, rather than have it expected to be given to you. And like you said, if you just sat and expected to prolong your life, it wouldn't happen. But you're getting up every day, you're doing everything that you should be doing to make it happen, which is ultimately going to lead to that happening. But like you said, it's not a case of it's going to be given to you. You've got to work for it. And like you said, is when the consequences are the highest, that's when we kind of find that.
You see who you are, don't you, as well? You know, who you are, who you're going to be. And I think as well, like for the people around you, I'd imagine seeing what you're going through and the way you're reacting to it, I'd imagine, like we talked about inspiring the community, but even the people closest to you, like your family, your missus, your kids, your mum and dad, I'd imagine they'd be like looking at you and thinking, what an example, like to set, innit? What an example to set for them growing up as well, you know? It's they'll always see the strength in you, like.
Yeah. At first, I couldn't take that.
Yeah.
So people were saying, you're inspiring, you're this. I was like, I don't know. Am I like I don't know how to take that on board.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, all right, I'll take that, let it fill me. And if I am great, I'm sort of starting to believe there is doing that for people.
Yeah.
Do you mind touching on the story you was on about in the car where the one doctor said, do you realise what you're dealing with?
Yeah. He said,
'Cause I think that'll give people not only a good chuckle, but it's motivational, and it was just like, touch on that one. I won't say too much.
He said, I've sat there and he gave me the news and I knew anyway. He said, so it's a terminal illness, yeah. I said, yeah, fine. He said, well, do you realise the magnitude of this? I said, yeah, totally. It's sort of a big deal. It's a big thing. It's, I said, yeah. He said, do you realise the sort of the effect that this is going to have on your life? I said, hang on, do you realise the man I am? And he was sort of taken back. I said, what do you want? Do you want a reaction? Do you want me to break down in tears? I said, I'll take this in my own way. I said when I left, I said, he said, I'll see you in the new year. I said, yeah, fine. I said, I'll do the same as what I done today. I'll walk in. And he said, well, we'll see. I propped the door back open. I said, I will walk in here next year, guaranteed. I Steph was like, whoa, now, calm down. I was a bit worked up. And the nurse came out, who was amazing, by the way. She said, don't you ever stop. She said, that attitude will see you through this.
Yeah.
So I was like,
right.
Yeah. It's one of them moments where Steph was like, oh, shit.
Here we go. Here we go.
Not so much these days, but years ago I used to have quite a short temper. And I was getting riled up. I was thinking, who do you think you're talking to? Yeah.
Yeah. You feel the youngster in him coming out.
I was thinking, right, here we go. And she knew. So I looked over and she was like,
he's going to kick off later now.
If you don't mind us asking, how was your missus and the family and everyone took it, and how are they sort of adapting and what's the word I'm looking for? How has their life sort of changed? Because it is a big thing, it's not beating around the bush. It's not like it's not like everything can just kind of go on as normal. How have they took it and kind of adapted to it?
They've took it hard, There's no dressing that up. They took it hard. It's been a tough one. Our dad especially has taken it hard. But we're now out of the sort of dark times. We're in the light. And we're all appreciative of every day.
Of the time you've got.
Yeah. It's like I said to someone earlier, it's like now my life is in HD. I can see clearer. I can smell. I can sort of feel. You get hit with this news and it changes you overnight.
I can imagine. It's like, I suppose in a way, sometimes we're almost on autopilot.
Oh, yeah.
And we're almost going through life just in routine, not thinking about like you said, not taking things in, not stopping to appreciate another day, or to maybe not appreciate the people around us or the things we're lucky enough to do. I suppose with you, when that can, when some sort of a restraint is put on that, then like you said, everything then becomes HD. You start to be grateful and you start to take in every day at the time. And, it's good to you that the dark times as such are kind of behind and you're kind of moving into a better place of it.
Yeah, I was guilty of it myself, always wanting more. on Friday we're gonna have this. On next month we're gonna have that. I want this car. I want that car. And yeah, it is nice to have nice things, but it isn't the be all and end all. Up here is where the happiness starts. You know, it's sort of not exterior things.
Yeah.
It's got to be inside out, and this has made me learn that.
Yeah. Well, all that exterior stuff is short-term little dopamine hits in it, which never last. Like who you surround yourself, and like you said, from the inside out, really. And it's like when I sit down sometimes with my little one, and I'm like playing with her. There's no money involved or exterior stuff in that. It's just like the smiles we have with each other, the jokes you play, and I'm like
appreciating the time you've got.
Yeah, and then I'm like sometimes I'm like, why am I like running around all the time doing this, doing that, and like I'm like. And sometimes you just sit there and appreciate it, haven't you? Because it's so easy to just pass you by, like.
I nearly, in my sort of darkest time, I nearly did something stupid, which I won't go into, but people probably,
Yeah.
But I came home and Archie, my son, had student of the week. I didn't get emotional,
It's all right, mate. Just take your time. There's no pressure, man.
But I wouldn't have seen that if I'd done that.
Yeah. 100%.
No, mate, that's like...
It puts it into perspective.
Does put it into perspective, yeah. And that's like a sign then as well, isn't it? Do you take that as a sign and think, oh, like, definitely
it puts it
the
into
right call
perspective.
there.
I mean, I've never had to experience anything like, but like you said, you could have done what you were gonna do, but you see something like that with your boy, and it's kind of like, time is precious, memories are precious, and there's still. I'm gonna be missing. You're gonna be missing out on a hell of a lot more if you do something then. Then think of all the memories, I suppose, and no doubt that's what you did. Like you said, it pulled you out of that.
And that's a lesson to others.
100%. 100%.
Thinking like that.
Yeah, there's plenty more. Like, there's still more days of laughter and smiling and enjoying yourself around the corner, isn't there? And I think even people who are like mega depressed and on the verge of doing something silly, I think that's a message for everyone. Do you know what I mean? Because I know a lot of people who've been in that space and come out of it, and there is still light at the end of the tunnel.
Always
no matter
something
what,
to live
isn't
for.
there? Yeah, 100%.
There's always
Always.
something to live for.
Always.
You can, I think you can be in the darkest rut you want to be, but at the end of the day, like you said, there's always light. There's always something that can be someone or something, or there's always some sort of positive influence everywhere. I think sometimes, and we're all guilty of it, we get stuck looking at the negative side of things all the time. Yeah. Where something as simple as your son having student of the week, like completely change your outlook on the day.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think about, because like you said, we're always chasing the external things, and the new car, the new clothes, the better job. But then there's something like that that's
look at this, Dad.
But it's priceless. And
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, mate, I could only imagine. Like, since I've had my little one, honestly, it's like so life-changing, isn't it? Because it just takes everything you ever once believed, and you've just got like a clean slate of like this new. And like me and my missus were saying, like, we had a dog, right? And I was always like, I'm never, like, how can you love anything more than you like love your dog?
And then you had a kid.
Then you have a kid and you're like, fucking hell, like, I didn't think I had any more to give out, but it's not that you've got like this part of like love, it like expands, doesn't it?
Of course.
And it's fucking crazy, man, what it does to your
life. I feel
life.
that too for others now.
Yeah.
People around me, you feel more collections, more love, more sort of, you see someone now and it's like, wait, come over and have a chat. Like, whereas before I'd be like, oh fuck, I don't want to talk to him.
Keep my head down and keep moving.
I know what
now
you mean,
it's like, oh, I'm seeing him for ages. What's happening? How he's doing.
Yeah.
Whereas it's sort of, it opens up a new sort of dimension to, if you could ball it without the sort of illness part, it's out there millions.
Yeah.
That feeling.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
mate.
like you said, you can't even put into words, can you? You can't.
No.
I just seen the tattoo then, so it made me think. Obviously, the hashtag and the term that you're using and everyone is using is MN Defiance. You got the T-shirt on. You got the tattoo now. Who else had the tattoo done? I seen someone else. Stingy had the tattoo done.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
So I was on a walk up the lakes with Liam, one of my mates, and he's a designer. And I said, I want a sort of logo / slogan for my battle, my sort of however long I got for that period of time. He was like, well, let's come up with something, let's think. And it just sort of came from nowhere, it hit me, and I was like, MND. I hate the word disease. It sounds sort of dirty.
Yeah.
I thought, well, let's cross that out and put something else for the D. And I thought, well, I've always been called all my life like defiant in school and whatever. You were defiant. You won't listen. You won't play with the rules. I thought, well, it's got to be defiance. So I said, sort of cross out the disease, and he came up with this.
Yeah.
Which is so simple, but so
effective.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how it came about. And I thought, well, I'll do 20 T-shirts to see if people want them. And the 20 sold in 10 minutes. And then we ordered 80, and those sold in an hour. And so far we sold 300 plus.
Incredible.
It's
And
mad.
it's funny. It's not funny, but you look at like the word defiance, and like you were talking about earlier, they told you can't put weight on with MND. Next thing you know, you've put a stone and a half on. You got to stop while you're walking. Next thing you know, you're walking that penny band. You know, you can't do this, you can't do that. And you just keep it is defiance. You're like, no, you tell me what you want to tell me, but I'm gonna do what I decide I'm gonna do, not what I'm told to do.
It's like that child that was rebellious in school is back.
Still inside,
Could be.
Brought him back out to play.
Maybe that's what all that was. It was just a training ground for this, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like someone would say, you cannot do that. I'd be like, oh,
I will.
I will do it. He'd be like, oh, you can't. Don't touch it. I have to touch it.
Another defiance will be you walking in that doctor's office again.
Yeah, I strut in. I strut.
Kick the door open.
Yeah, I'm like Conor McGregor. Yeah, so he's back. Yeah, it's and the tattoo. I saw the sort of skull and a wheel, and it sort of signifies that I'll steal my own ship. I sort of. I'm sort of on my own journey, and I will steer it the way I see fit, and that's how that come about. But yeah, a few of the boys have decided to book in and get it now, and
there'll be more then than there will be fucking Jack Shaw Fire tattoos now you watch.
yeah.
No, that's wicked,
brilliant.
mate, isn't it? That they're getting around you and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, have you got anything else coming up? Like I know you there's been a couple of sort of fundraising events and people have been doing some different things.
Gone
Haven't they?
insane.
Yeah, I mean, like you looked at you had the lads run the 13 half marathons in 13 days. We're just saying they're doing 100 kilometers now in 12 hours.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll get the link to that in the description and everything.
Definitely.
But it's just been crazy, haven't it? Like you've seen the entire community. I've never seen Apple area as a community come together so fast and in such a and form like such a strong sort of community bond, because you don't really always get it from our town. It's kind of like everyone is kind of doing their own thing as is in life, but with this I feel like everyone has really come together and pushed on, and no doubt is motivating for you, but obviously you doing what you're doing is obviously motivating everyone else, hence why it's been such a, like you said, 300 fucking t-shirts in a day is insane.
I think everyone probably like just you sat with you now, you kind of, not that we ever can, but like you try to use empathy and put yourself in your shoes a little bit and try you naturally try to imagine like fucking hell, that would, you know, while you be going through yourself, innit? So I think everyone's like relating to you and thinking,
well, you can
it's
feel
amazing
even
what
you're
doing.
listening to him speak. You can feel through all the, no matter what, like regardless of what they say, you can feel the positive energy and the positive
Definitely.
mindset, and that is infectious. Like you said, is making me and you sit here and think, fucking, I need to start looking at life differently, and I need to start appreciating this. So, you know, and that's after what are we going for 45 minutes of talking. So when people are constantly seeing it online and seeing you doing this and seeing that, it is in fact like good energy, good mindset, good vibes. It's infectious. It's
Definitely.
contagious. It's not something that you can look at and kind of be like, yeah, well, you know, that's him. It's like, fucking no, he's right. If he can do it, you know, with MND, we can all do it. And if we can all help push this on and raise awareness, it really is, in my opinion, brought the community together like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah. And it's, you know, I could talk all day about the stuff that's happened, and no doubt I'd miss someone, so I won't do it because someone will say, oh, what about that?
me?
But it's been like raffles, walks, I've had gifts, you know, the sort of fundraising pages gone insane. I think I had £3,000 as a target originally, and my mate rang me and said, up that 30 straight away. I was like, behaves, don't be silly, like. And I did, and I hit the 3K within a day, I think.
Yeah.
That just says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was hard to take, mate. I was like,
yeah,
you know, emotional, sort of. I was thinking, that's unreal, you know. But yeah.
it shows our town, our area in general, Wales in general. We get a hard time of it in a way because it's like, oh, up Larry this and up Larry that.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show that there is a community, and when sort of something like this does happen, the community bond is still there, and everyone does get behind each other. And I mean, I experienced not that I can even relate it slightly, but I experienced it when I used to fight, and that all the town would want to come and watch, or would be watching in town, and then
it's the same thing, Jack.
and then you look at this now, it's exactly the same thing, but on an even bigger scale.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You're in a fight, I'm in a fight.
100%.
It's just different. You're fighting for the title, I'm fighting for my life.
Exactly.
You know, we still get a buzz from that following. We still get a buzz from that motivation, that achieving on. And yeah, it's what keeps me going, like.
100%. You saying as well, you've you've like online have become friendly with a couple of other people who you didn't know beforehand with MND.
Yeah.
How has that been hearing their story, and how do theirs compare to yours, and is there things you've taken from them that you've taken on board? I'm sure there's things they've taken from you in terms of positivity.
It's been hard, really, to speak about it with others, but I'm there now where I can open up and sort of talk about it, and we started sort of ideas back and forth. So I might say to someone, what are you doing about that? And they might say, oh, I do this, this, and this. I find swimming useful. I find solid useful. And I might say I tried, for instance, I use CBD rub and oil for my twitching, and it helps massively. So I shared that, you know. So we're all in this group where we share information. And I'm with like-minded people, not people that are sort of in the pub, you know, I've given up. I'm with people that are in the gym, fighting, sort of positive mindset. And that's sort of breeds positivity. And I'm in contact with a few people. I own sort of name, man, because that's their business. But you know, one guy is quite well known, and yeah, we exchange, ideas and thought processes, and it's good.
Yeah.
It helps.
Is there, like, I was looking online, but I couldn't really see. Is there any, like, cause for it, or is it just like a completely random? How does it come about, like getting motor neurons?
There's a sort of stigma attached to rugby.
Right.
So they say a lot of rugby players are cannons, and it could be from knocks to the head, and that's, I think that's rubbish. There's a few people I know that say it originates in the gut,
Right.
which is a curveball, but they are firmly believing in it, and diet sort of helps this. So I think, well, if diet can help it, then maybe there is some truth in that. But yeah, there is quite a few rugby players that get it, but there is, for 10 rugby players, there's 10,000 others.
That don't play
scene.
rugby that get it, yeah, of course.
And they go, oh, another rugby player.
Yeah, I mean, you can correlate anything, can't you? Like you said, 10 or 100 rugby players, and it sounds a lot, but then how many rugby players are there in the world, and how many people are there in the world of MND? They've never played rugby in their life, so I think there's a correlation with anything. But it's a surprisingly unknown disease, isn't it? Because, like you said, we don't really know what causes it. There's things we can do to prevent it. Not prevent it. Sorry, to like just slow it down and to benefit yourself. But there's nothing really there in black and white. It seems like.
No. There are things you can take, things you can eat, which are going to improve your chances. I won't sort of go into that because I'm not a doctor. I don't want to give out sort of information that someone could cling to, and it could be wrong, but I feel I've got the mix right now. I've got the supplements right, the training plan, the diet plan. It's all on point now, ready to attack this thing that's attacking me. So you got to do your own research, your own homework. I think it's individual. Like, my grip strength is still there. My most of my strength is still there, but my voice is going. Whereas others I know, their voice is there, but their body
starts to go first. Yeah.
So it's random. We can take you in different ways.
It's almost as if it's like per individual. Like every case is different.
Yeah, I think that's the same with everything, isn't it? I think everyone reacts to things differently, but like, what's the next steps then? Is there anything else you're going to try and implement going forward, or like you say, you feel like you've got that right formula now to take it every day as it comes?
To be honest, I'm there now. I sort of know what I got to do. The diets, the supplements, the mindset. So the process now will feed itself. It's like a fight camp. You know what works for you.
Yeah.
And it's like that. It's one big fight camp.
Yeah. 100%. Is there any kind of, like, have you got any short or long term goals coming up in terms of whether it be in your body, I don't know, like, might be walk. I know you've done it already, so that's not good. But like walking penny van or something. Is there anything like that you're kind of working towards, or you just taking every day as it comes, and every day is a good day kind of thing?
I'd like to do an half marathon.
Yeah.
Not running, obviously, but walking at a decent pace. I'd like to do that next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought about sort of wheelchair rugby. Eventually.
Yeah.
If I get that. I'm thinking about different things to keep positive, keep my mind taken over. But no, not really. There's no sort of goal or target. The target is being settled, happy, living with this as best I can, and to keep pushing, keep inspiring, keep
defying.
Keep
defying the odds.
that's my goal.
Perfect. You got any more, Joe? I know you had a couple of we covered them.
I think that's a good place.
That's a good
to be
place.
honest, mate. I don't know if you've got anything else you want to like say before we go.
Just thanks.
Yeah.
Just thanks to everyone. The fundraising, the nice comments, the sort of community spirit, everyone, everything. Just thank you. You know.
You can follow. What's your Instagram, Mark? You can follow Mark on Instagram. Follow his journey.
Yeah, Markwell 1207.
Markwell 1207. If you're looking for a bit of motivation, a bit of inspiration, I suggest you get on there. The still t-shirts available?
Yeah, we've done a fresh order now. Now I've paid him up for this lot. But yeah, the guy who's doing these for me, top man. He's a top man. And there's another order coming in, so we're gonna keep spreading that sort of positivity, keep pushing out that message. But yeah, if there's anyone sort of with this diagnosis who wants to follow my journey or just in general, that's what I'm hoping to sort of inspire.
Yeah.
Because don't take that initial prognosis, don't take that list. There's even a list what they got to say this is gonna happen, or throw it away. Like, you know.
Do you like?
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
and that's
you.
Mark is proof
Yeah.
that you can defy the odds. If you want t-shirts, either contact Mark, or even contact us, and we can put you in touch through social media. We'll drop the link to the GoFundMe as well in the description. And yeah, let's get this shared about, because the message is really powerful. It's really inspirational, motivational, and if we can get Mark's message and approach to this terrible disease out to someone else who's going through it, or who's got family members going through it, then I think it'd be really inspiring for them to see. It's inspiring for us, so I can imagine the approach he's taken. If we can spread the message as much as possible, then let's do it.
Definitely.
We'll get Mark's socials and everything on the description on our Instagram and stuff like that as well. But yeah, big thanks for coming on, Mark. And
My pleasure.
I know.
Yeah, thank you.
I know, like you said, with the fatigue and your speech and stuff, it's not easy. But you smashed that one out of the park.
I hope
Definitely.
everyone can understand me, but
Hey, don't worry, they can't understand me anyway, so they'll have to
that's
put
it.
subtitles on it for me anyway, so we'll be alright. Yes, thank you all for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and especially share this video, and let's get the message out there, and let's get inspiring and motivating people.
Definitely.
Till next time, see you all soon.
cheers, guys.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you very much, mate.
Get go, that's what we trap for. Some man they wanna chat shit till I knock 'em, ain't like I'm Jack
Levels
Shaw.
to the game.
Rolls hot, roll stack, my flow shot like a hacksaw.